So now it comes to the security patches, right? So if you have a virtual machine, if you have a server, obviously you have to make sure that it's kept up to date, right? And that there are no security holes. So if an Red Hat or Ubuntu or any version of flavor of Windows that you want to actually use, and there's a security patch that just came out, you really don't have to worry about putting that patch on those machines. AWS does it for you. Okay, the storage, sky's the limit, right? So they have contracted with those storage provider, right, SANs, and then they actually put those storages within their availability zone. You just say, okay, how much do you want? And they will actually make it available to you. So you don't have to order anything. You just have to click a button and you get it. Installation of quick basic operating system needs that are already taken care of when you actually launch a virtual machine. Okay. Going on to the next slide. Okay, so you can think of a cloud platform as a ready-made services for lift and shift. For example, you know, databases are available, the different flavors of databases that are available on cloud. And when I'm saying cloud, right, I mean, I'm covering, you know, GCP, Google Cloud, AWS, Azure, right? And maybe a few others are going to probably pop open very, very soon. So everybody should probably adhere to these now because AWS has set certain standard in the market, right? Databases availability, for example, MySQL, MS SQL, Oracle, Postgres, they're all available to you. Either a self-installation, meaning you can go ahead and install yourself, bring your own license, BYOL, or you can probably use that as a RDS service, right? And again, we will cover that RDS and what it means and how to actually start an RDS in the later sessions. Data warehouse, again, Redshift, I've given you an example, is a very powerful data warehouse that is available for you to simply click and then start using it. Firewalls, you know, security groups and ACLs. Those are the areas where you actually set who can access your EC2 instance, your virtual machines, who should be denied, what ports are open. So that is all done within the security groups and ACL. DNS service and then the routers. So you can actually have a load balancing done at the router level as well, or maybe you can have a ELB, which is the next thing that is listed here. So you can define your weightages as well as, in fact, I was just talking to my network manager, and then I wasn't aware of, honestly, just a few days back, I think Amazon has released a new version of the ELB, and you can actually route the traffic very smartly using the newer version of ELB that just came out at the application ELB. Active Directory, ADFS, Federated Services, simple connector in order to connect to Active Directory. This is where you can actually connect your on-premise servers and then authenticate within that Active Directory that you have, and then allow it and to access other services within Amazon. A very advanced topic, but at least you should know if you're just coming into AWS and coming into the cloud, that AWS does provide you the Active Directory connectivity using the simple connector or ADFS. Auditing, for example, CloudTrail. That is also covered by AWS, and again, maybe by other vendors as well. That allows you to monitor your services, right? So CloudTrail is just an example. CloudWatch is another one where you can actually set up a trigger, right? You can say, okay, if my virtual machine falls below, let's say, CPU to 20% or below, that means that my machine is not being used. So what action do you want to use? There's an advanced topic called ASG. So that's the automatic security, the auto scaling group. So which allows you to actually scale up or scale down your infrastructure, right? So you can tie your CloudWatch, CloudTrails, and CloudWatch, and then actually say my my machine can go up if my traffic loads goes up, or my machine should be turned off if there's no traffic. So you can all control through the auditing / monitoring of the services using things like CloudWatch. Middle tier messaging services, SQS, simple queuing services. If you guys have used, IBM's queuing services or ActiveMQ service, right? So this is also available for you to easily configure and use on AWS. I've used that in my past experience where I have to set up and configure those ActiveMQ service, Apache product, or maybe IBM. queuing services. So you have to go install your servers. You have to do, configurations. You want to have your queuing done through the file server, database, or, all that stuff. But all that stuff is taken care of you from Amazon, right, by Amazon. And then you can simply just set up your queues, and then you get the guaranteed delivery of your messages. Deployment tools, Beanstalk, OpsWorks, and there are many other services that are provided by Amazon. Again, you can think of cloud specifically within AWS as a Walmart, and you are yourself as a shopper, right? I think that's the closest and probably the best analogy that at least I can think of, right? If you go to a Walmart, you're picking, you got, variety of things, right? Even if you go to a cereal lane, you see 5 different types of cereals. Frosted Flakes is, by the way, my favorite, but I picked that up, put it in my cart, but there are other like Fruit Loops and whatnot, right? So which one do you want? Then you look at maybe some of the pricing, your taste, and that kind of stuff, and then you pick the right product and actually put it in the cart. Similarly, if you go to Amazon, you have, variety of, Linux machine, for example. Which one fits your needs? You can say Ubuntu, you can say Red Hat, whatever flavor of window you may probably want to use a pre-configured on Marketplace that Linux machine that is available, and same goes for Windows that already has some of the caching mechanism built into one of the Linux machine that is being sold on Amazon Marketplace. You can use that. So again, think of that as a marketplace. You pick and choose what you want, and then the checkout is done at the end of the month, right? Because they will bill you at the end of the month once you have consumed all of those services. You pay only for the items you have in the cart, or maybe the items you have actually used, right, throughout the month. Even the storage, right? So you can probably, get a 8 gig of storage, right? In certain areas, if you allocate 8 gig of storage, then you have to pay for 8 gig regardless how much you use. But in EFS, Elastic File Services, we'll talk later, you just you pay as much space you use. So you don't really allocate saying, okay, I need 8 gig of storage on EFS, but rather you say, okay, I'm going to configure EFS, mount it here with this Linux machine, and then you start using your EFS. So as you use your EFS storage, the Amazon calculator basically in the back end is actually finding out the time that you're using the EFS, and based on that, it would actually bill you. Same thing for Amazon. And EC2 instances, depending on the time that you have turned on the machine, Amazon will bill you. So you can pick and choose what you want. You can also bring your own licenses, right? BYOL, MS SQL Enterprise Edition. We have brought in our own license. We are Microsoft Gold partner, by the way, quick start. So we can bring in our own license from Microsoft where it makes sense, and then actually install it over here. So that's one cost-effective way of making sure your cost remains, as down as possible, right? Nagios, if people who have used some of the monitoring tool, Nagios is pretty well known. So we actually are using Nagios to monitor our servers. Build servers we have installed ourselves. Deployment with REST APIs, if you are actually using some APIs first, then you can actually bring in some of the testing tools for APIs that are either available within Amazon. You can use that, but obviously you have to pay, or you can bring in some of the open source as well. So you got that flexibility.